Learning through Contemplation. April 27, 2014. When your day is busy and you occasionally face various daily challenges, we know and understand it can be far too easy to become focused on the negative. You may find yourself feeling overworked, underappreciated, tired and stressed out by all the many conflicting demands on your time and day. What often occurs as a result, dear ones, is that negative thoughts and feelings come into your mind. Even though you already know positive thinking is the better alternative for your state of mind, it is also understood that positive thinking is also good for your overall health. Every time you make the motions to improve your thinking and to bring forth more positive thoughts and feelings, you are also improving your confidence and mental well-being, which will give a marvelous boost to your physical health. Have you ever contemplated what can you do to get rid of negative thoughts, and to replace them with a better and more positive attitude and way of thinking? You don't have to be a natural-born optimist in order to bring positive changes to the way you think and view life. There are actual things you can do each day that will help to develop positive thinking as a skill that provides many rewarding and healing benefits. To become a positive thinker, it's essential to learn how to effectively analyze your thoughts. There is a stream of conscious flow of thoughts that can be a bit difficult to focus on, especially if introspection or contemplation on your own thought and feelings is not your strongest practice. We encourage you to try noticing how you think during a challenging situation. Think about what is happening. Are you observing negative self-talk? Or are mentally judging and criticizing yourself or other people? Understand, dear ones, negative thinking does present a foremost obstacle, yet your ability to identify these thoughts is one of your first steps in overcoming them. Usually it is the most common types of negative thinking that takes place, the unwelcomed aspects of a challenge or situation. Try to think about an experience you've had where you were busy either at work or working on a project at home. And you have to hand over this work or project to another once the job is done. Everything is going great, and while you were working either at work or on the project, you also were able to accomplish a few other tasks as well. But there was one thing that you forgot to do. It could have as easily been that you forgot to return a message, a phone call, or maybe you forgot something else that you said you would do. Even though you handed your work in and completed your project and a few other tasks successfully, the things you didn't get to do or complete will often play heavy on your mind. You may even find yourself thinking deeply about any of the errors you may have had or of the phone call you forgot to return. Instead of focusing and acknowledging on the positives that you were able to accomplish, you find yourself focusing on what you couldn't accomplish. Another kind of negative thinking is self-blame. How many times have you blamed yourself for something that was not entirely your fault? If you work at one of the many call centers around the world, maybe you would blame yourself if the amount of sales or calls were low for the current month, instead of thinking that the lack of calls has a lot to do with the economy and people's financial stability. Self-blame is found in many other situations, not just work-related incidents. In addition, self-blame is considerably damaging to your mental and emotional health. When you take the blame for things that are not your fault, things that are out of your control, understand your self-confidence and self-esteem becomes drastically lowered. Yes, dear ones, changing your negative thoughts can definitely be a challenge, and understand when it's time to make such changes. This is a process that will take time. As you move along this path of self-improvement, it is essential to understand that repeating certain affirmations, even if they are positive, are not going to help you until you have reached a better grasp of your thinking process, and you have begun to think in a much more positive fashion. Comprehend, dear ones, that changing your thoughts is not like putting on rose-colored glasses, where things become muted and the truth becomes distorted. To ignore the negatives and to just work on certain areas because they are easier can be devastatingly damaging. It is vital to your growth and development to have a healthy balance, to be able to focus on both the positive and negative encounters of life. There are many things you can do that will help diminish the overwhelming feelings that are often associated with negative thoughts. We encourage you to begin with small steps. You can't really jump in, taking big huge steps and leaps, simply because this is a fragile moment in your life. You are here trying to put together a new habit, a new way of thinking that will bring about a new way of being. Just like anyone who has tried to break or change a habit or behavior, it takes time to reach a successful outcome or to keep a resolution you've made to yourself. Remember, change takes time. Reflection is essential as it provides you with a lot of information regarding key areas in your life that are mostly affected or even cause negative thinking. Do you tend to think negatively when you are preparing for the day? Is it in your appearance, or something else that is just as personal? Do negative feelings come about as you get closer to work? It is important, dear ones, to pinpoint where your negative feelings come from, before you can bring in changes. Once you are able to figure out at least one area where negative thoughts develop, then begin bringing in one or two new changes that is positive that you are able to stick to longer than a few days. Don't try to change too much too soon, work slowly with one area at a time. And as you move through the process of change, don't be so hard on yourself, give yourself the love and compassion you truly deserve. This is a great time to get to know yourself from the inside. Maybe you are going to focus on your negative thinking with regards to your job. What you can do is spend some time each day analyzing your thoughts. When you find yourself thinking critically or being judgmental about yourself or someone else, take a few moments to reflect on this. Are you mentally berating yourself or someone else? If so, find out why. As you look at the situation before you, can you think of one thing that could make the situation a bit more positive? Remember, it doesn't have to be grand. It just has to be better and more positive. In every situation where there is something negative, there is also something positive to be found. It just might take a little digging. Become more observant of negative self-talk. We know you have an awful amount of inner dialogue, and not all of it is nice and loving. When your inner monologue begins to give you suggestions or discouragements that you will never reach successful outcomes on any particular assignment or task, then that is a time, dear ones, for you to take the initiative to find a more positive approach that will also help you create a more positive view of any situation. You might need to rearrange your schedule to slot in more time, or find a different yet creative way that brings you to a successful conclusion, or you might need to ask for assistance from a coworker. Asking for a little help or advice is not a bad thing, dear ones. Sometimes it is necessary to seek help, and it's never a sign of weakness or vulnerability. Being able to ask for help is a sign of strength and trust in yourself. Try to remind yourself that being a positive thinker is not about you ignoring certain aspects of life in favor of aspiring thoughts. It really is more about taking a positive, proactive approach to your life. You do have the choice to remain feeling hopeless and overwhelmed, but you also have the choice to tackle your negative thinking and to bring positive changes that will help you to resolve conflicts, help raise your self-confidence and self-esteem, as well improve your mental and physical health. There are always effective and creative solutions to problems. It's never just one way unless you choose that way. Yes, it will take practice and a lot of it. Comprehend that improving your thinking is not just a step-by-step process that in a few days you are done. This area of self-improvement does require a lifelong commitment from you. You need to be ready, willing and able to look inside yourself and challenge those negative thoughts. And when you apply love, dear ones, with your efforts, you will make positive changes. We believe you can bring about all the positive changes needed to change your thinking and way of living. What is needed now, dear ones, is for you to believe as well. I am Melchizedek through Julie Miller. spiritualnetworks.com